Hi, I'm Jackie.
And I'm Seth.
And this is Never TMI.
Where we talk about real things.
And nothing is ever off limits.
All right. Podcast peeps.
Hello.
We got a good topic today.
We do. And
today.
Oh, sorry. What?
We're going to talk about how to avoid
the big D.
No, we're not talking about Dallas. No,
yeah,
we ain't talking about your hubby's package. We're talking about divorce.
We're talking about divorce. And we're going to be real honest, real vulnerable here. Also, I've got the world's worst allergies right now. So I apologize if I sound a little raspy and if you hear me sniffle every now and then. But yes, we're really excited. And I feel like, I don't know, we should just dive right in.
Yeah. And so the reason we're talking about this topic is because we named this podcast Never TMI, which do we regret?
I know.
But full transparency, we have been going through a really rough season of marriage this year. I would say second roughest season since year one, right after we got married, when I put Jackie through the ringer there. Yeah. But it's been a lot just having Michael between pregnancy, postpartum, where we're at in this season.
And I think we've said this before. It's like she's been in probably our easiest baby. So it's not her. I think it's just like the season change. Just to clarify, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not just having a baby, but it's
like everything that comes with it.
That kind of marks the season for us. Yeah. But there's been a lot that's come with it.
Even end of pregnancy with her. It was just, I think that's where it started. And it's been really difficult. I feel like we definitely, I would say at least over the past few weeks, there's been a shift. I feel
Absolutely.
Like we're on the tail end. And we're so, I mean, one thing I'm thankful for is that we just are so prepared for seasons to ebb and flow. Like, it doesn't shock me when, there's times that things get really tough. Obviously, it's not fun. But for the rest of our lives, I think if you have the mindset of the fact that, like, it's going to happen, there's going to be really high highs and really low lows for the rest of your marriage. Like, it doesn't throw you as much for a loop if you're prepared and if you have, the support that you need around that, which we'll get into. But that is one thing I'm thankful for. It's not like we're like, oh no, what's happening to us? Are we crumbling? It's like, let's gear up and put the work in because this is a season that might be a little harder than the others.
But I think we've also been surprised, at least I have, in terms of like
how bad it has gotten sometimes.
There have been really rough moments. Yeah. And that's why we're talking about divorce today, because even though we haven't said, like, we've made a decision in our marriage to not get divorced. Yeah. That's and even biblically, just barring like cheating, that would be the thing that would make us reconsider that. But other than that, like, divorce is not something we talk about. Yeah.
And I think, I want to comment there. I know there's people out there who are in very compromising situations. I would say like domestic abuse, all that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff is something to be addressed as well. So I don't think like you should just never get a divorce no matter what. Absolutely not. That's not what we're saying. For us personally, I'm almost positive, like, if we were dealing with some type of situation like that, that would raise that option. But for us personally, we're kind of talking about like just the everyday difficulties of marriage, and
But and that's where and that's what I'm trying to say though, is it's gotten to points recently where we've had very serious arguments. And I know, if I'm being transparent, like, and even just conversations, even though we're not saying divorce or anything like that, there's definitely been thoughts of like separation, space, like, I don't want to do this anymore, like, get out of my face. And that, I don't know. I think we've been faced with the reality of those decisions of like, in this moment or in this season, we could choose to go down that path.
Yeah.
But we haven't. And so today we're going to kind of talk about why. And I think I hope this episode is a little fun. I'm excited because
everything we just said is not fun.
No, it's not. But this episode, we each wrote down our top 3 things of why or how to avoid divorce.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Jackie's are. She doesn't know what mine are. Well, I might have spilled the beans.
It's kind of crazy though. Like even to hear you say that, I feel like I'm very verbal with the way that I feel and like conflict and all that kind of stuff. And in those moments of conflict, I've expressed to you certain things. You've never expressed to me like that you've like thought about separation or something. Like, have you genuinely thought of that?
Well, I think of it more on your end. It's like, well, if you chose to leave, there's nothing I could do about it. I know where I stand, and I feel like I'm a little more particular with
your words,
my words, than you are, for sure.
I was just shocked. Just like that. What you just said threw me for a loop because I was like, wow, have you thought about that? I guess we haven't really talked about that. I know I've said things.
So we each came up with our top 3 things of how to avoid divorce or how to keep from divorce. And we're going to kind of share those, bouncing back and forth. And so hopefully by the end of this podcast, you can walk away with potentially 6 new or 6 ideas as to things you can implement if you're in a tough season, if you're considering divorce, things that you can maybe put into practice. Or I would say they're kind of more like mindset shifts. Like really, divorce is almost a mindset.
And also I'm sorry.
Well, and not to say that there aren't like real feelings involved, but like it does come down to a choice. Again, if someone cheats on you, that there's things out of your control that you then
have to deal with.
You choose how you respond to it.
And that's okay. Like I was talking to my sisters the other day and I was like, I know myself. I don't know if I could stay with someone who cheated on me. And obviously someone is Seth. So it was like, you know, and we just kind of had a conversation and some siblings were like, well, I think it depends. And some were like, absolutely not. I don't care what the situation were. So everybody's different and that's okay. I think, you know, side note there is no, judgment there if you're feeling that way. So I think for us, we're going to lay out a few things. We each put down like our 3 things that we believe and feel like for us personally, you know, would keep us from divorce and should keep us from divorce. And I believe they're different, but they are like actionable things that you can like implement. They're not just like ideas or things that we think. It's like we firmly believe this would absolutely deter you from getting a divorce if you have thought about it, talked about it, felt it, because it is very real. I've had conversations with people in the past who were just open to it, and then lo and behold, they are divorced to this day. So, we just kind of want to talk about it because it's very real, and I've had a lot of conversations with women primarily who are like, that's what I want because I don't know what to do and, you know, whatever. So hopefully this helps. So my first one is seek counsel / accountability. And accountability was going to be my other one, but I feel like they do go hand in hand. So for us, our marriage counselors kind of act as somewhat of an accountability system, which is why I didn't make it another one. But I would say seeking counsel is so important. I think like I said, we have marriage counselors and they're unbelievably helpful, but I also have like sisters who I really trust, who are wise and who I will, if something is really serious, or like my mom, you know, and that's not the case for everybody. Like, I mean, some people have some toxic siblings, and I would say it's not always the wisest thing to like open up to your best friends or your siblings or your parents even. I am blessed to be able to really trust the wisdom of my sisters. And so, and not that I'll like go and talk with them all, but we all kind of bounce things off of each other. And 9 times out of 10, they'll give me such a greater perspective in the grand scheme of things. So they know me, they love me, and they are for me. Therefore, when I share with them a conflict that Seth and I might not be able to like budge through, because I don't go to them with every little argument we have. That's just not smart. That's not respectful of Seth. We don't do that. But if there's something that we are really struggling with and it's like really affecting me, then I will bring it to like our marriage counselors or a sister who I trust and who, again, is for me and knows me. So there have been times that I've communicated with them that they've really, truly helped in a difficult situation and have given me a different perspective, or have kind of not taken sides, but has just been like, well, Jackie, from an outsider's perspective, have you thought about this? And he's probably feeling this. And, have you said this? Or, kind of point out to me like, well, maybe this wasn't like the best way for you to respond, or you have to consider how he might be feeling and blah, blah, blah. So outside perspective and counsel, it's a very helpful thing. And I think sometimes it can be scary to invite other people into your issues, or I don't know why, but I used to literally feel like I want my family to think Seth is like perfect, amazing, the best. And obviously I feel like when you first like introduce someone, that's kind of how you feel. And it takes a while for that to go away. Now I'm like, I love this man. I know he loves me. You know that he loves me. That is no longer a thing, but it took a really long time. So it's scary. I felt scared too, to like open up to people and just be like, yeah, he's not perfect and I'm not perfect. And I yelled at him. Like that was also kind of like a thing. It's like, yeah, we argued and it was really bad and I don't want anybody to know that, but that's life. And honestly, everyone is going through their own stuff anyway. So, but yeah, I would say counsel, and just whether it be a marriage counselor or, a podcast or a book or something, but I do think like real life people who can kind of speak into your marriage and give you advice, or whether it's one time or whether you check in every now and then, and, making sure that those people either really know like the word or really know you, that they can kind of point you in the right direction and give some perspective, and not just be like, the worst thing you can do is be like, talking to your girls and they're like, yeah, he sucks. Like, girl, leave. It's like, that's not what I mean. You have to really make sure that you align with the people that you're communicating to, and that, the advice you're getting is sound and, biblical, if that's what you believe in, which we do. So yeah, that's a big one for me. I feel like that's actually helped a ton, and could help a lot or damage a lot. So
no, I think that's a great point. I would say though, and not that the other stuff is bad, but really getting having friends and people that you respect enough that you can trust their opinion, is very important. But in a situation where you're seriously contemplating divorce or separation, I would highly suggest getting professional help.
Absolutely.
So like professional counseling.
Yes.
Professional marriage counseling. Meeting with someone that you're paying. And we've seen this in so many aspects of our life. It's like when you pay for something, when you pay for a service, we all want something for free. But when you pay for it, you're putting some skin in the game, and it makes it that much more worth it to you. It's like, I'm committed to this. Like for us, the gym.
I was about to say,
we pay for
F45.
a gym now that we didn't. We used to not pay for a gym, and we never worked out because we had no skin in the game, and it was just, do we feel like it or not? We never felt like working out. Now that we've prepaid a subscription to a gym.
Still don't feel like it, but we go.
But we go because we know, like, well, this has been paid for, and it runs out. So I think,
definitely
that really helps. Then also, sometimes, like if you read books or whatever. Those are general concepts, which are great. But sometimes you have very specific questions, very specific circumstances where it's like, what do I do in this situation? I can't relate with the theory of this book to how this applies to my situation.
Yeah.
And that's where I think having people is so important for accountability. Specific people that you can just lay out the real, this is exactly what happened. Like, what would you suggest? What do I do? Like,
yeah, it's tailored to your personal situation. That's good.
But no, I think that's a great point. My number one point was how to avoid divorce is praying together. And I think we've definitely seen the power of prayer. I think we've even talked about it in a previous episode. But, I mean, after it got really bad, I felt like, and through conversations between us and with our marriage counselors, I really felt like I had advocated my responsibility as the leader of the home. And that, for us, entails I have to lead Jackie in our house spiritually, and that means making time to pray together, to check in on her spiritually, to encourage her spiritually, to encourage us and lead our family spiritually. And I was doing none of that. And so we started praying together, and it was just simple, like 30-second prayer even. And it was just like getting into the habit of we are regularly meeting together in a day to take a moment just to humble ourselves together and say, we need help. Like, and I think that is really where we've kind of opened the door for God to work in the relationship and help us. And so my number one suggestion would be, if you believe in God, pray together. And the power of prayer works. Let the power of prayer work. But like, even have, without changing anything, just by doing that one habit, I think that's where I started to really see the, our marriage turn around for the better. And just being able to even personally like let things go that might bother me previously. It's just like I don't know, it seemed like I had a renewed grace for Jackie for our marriage, for things that weren't, even though they're still not my ideal. It's like, okay, I can tolerate this today because I feel like we are taking steps together to grow together, to become one together. And
like seeing that we're both in it together, and it's like they might be trying their best, and so let me let this little thing go. And I think that's where, even just to give like a 30-second background of why I feel like we struggled so hard, was truly, I feel like the root was like Seth was not feeling respected. We were not having sex. And I'm talking like when we could, obviously, postpartum, there's that time period, but even after that, I was just, there was like no intimacy emotionally and physically. And then for me, I just felt unappreciated and like unsupported. And, there were ways that he was supporting me that just weren't resonating. And, there were ways that I was loving him or like trying to love him that he just like, it was like it didn't really matter because these things weren't happening. So that was kind of the root in very short what was happening. But I just wanted to take a quick second, pause, and talk to you guys about Minnow. As parents, I feel like it's a full-time job to be able to find shows that are appropriate for our kids to watch, and it's honestly super difficult sometimes to find shows that are engaging, entertaining, and wholesome at the same time. We finally found a streaming service that works perfectly, and that's Minnow Kids. Minno Kids.
Yeah, Minnow is a great streaming service for kids that offers faith-based content that parents can also trust. We're really excited to be partnering with Minnow because we actually believe in the company and what they stand for.
There's a ton of shows, movies, and devotionals that are perfect for road trips, movie nights, at-home sick days, or your everyday downtime moments. I remember literally having to call my sister to see if she had watched certain shows before to make sure that it was safe for my kids. And now, thanks to Minnow, I don't have to do that anymore.
All their shows and movies are screened by parents, teachers, and pastors to make sure they're appropriate and entertaining and also align with faith-based values. It is comforting to know that we don't have to worry about questionable content or unknown ads popping up because we know Minnow has our kids' best interest at heart. Also, the shows are fun and cute, and our kids actually do enjoy them.
Whether you're a parent tired of looking for wholesome content for your household or simply on the hunt for some entertaining and faith-based shows, movies, or devotionals for your kids to watch on their own, we highly encourage you to try Minnow. We stream Minnow in our household, and we would love for you to do the same. Head to gominnow.com and use code FAMILYMADE to get your first month free. That's gominno.com/familymade for 1 free month of the Minnow Kids streaming service, which is awesome. Sign up for Minnow today if you want shows that are not only entertaining and engaging, but that reflect your values and teach your kids about the things that actually matter.
Now let's get back to the show.
It is important to know that we're both trying. And I think that's kind of what you mean. Like when we're praying together, it's like, look, we're both putting an effort here. We're both sitting here. We're both hungry for this to work. And for us to like get out of this, whatever it is. So it does make it easier when I know, okay, he's trying, he's putting in effort. I'm trying, like we're not just careless, because I feel like a lot of issues can stem from the fear of like, you don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. My number 2 is reevaluate your non-negotiables. So Seth and I got a little crazy, I will say. We both crossed some serious lines.
That's a great point.
Thank you. And I think for me, that was when it got scary, was because I was like, wait, this isn't safe anymore. Like, where is the boundary? Because the only reason I feel like, oh, we will not get a divorce is because that's a line. That's like a boundary that we will never cross. But when other little boundaries and lines get crossed, I'm like, what makes me feel like that won't get crossed? Like, and then we both get a little more bold, because it's like, you let that slide. I went there and you went there. So now I can go here because you went there. You know, you crossed the line, so I can cross the line now. What's stopping us from crossing any other line past this? If we can if we're allowed to cross this line, nothing is in the way of us crossing that line down the road. And who says we won't get there? So I think, and we literally did, we had to kind of go back to like, okay, what are we literally not allowed to do? What is an absolute no? Let's, reevaluate and reestablish boundaries, so that we should never be yelling at each other in front of the kids. We should never be yelling at each other, period. But in front of the kids, it's like, that's an absolute no. We can never do that again. And saying certain things, calling each other certain things, it was like, that's not happening. Like we kind of both had to be like, that was too far and we're done with that. We know better. Let's be better. And so I think it's important. Sometimes you can just kind of get comfortable with new things. And it would have been incredibly dangerous if we just crossed those lines and didn't come back and say, not just I'm sorry, but like, oh, that's off limits. We cannot do that again.
And I think just to give a little context to that too, it's like, for me, and I think going through this season, we've also realized like we are a byproduct of the way that, of our past experiences, what you've seen, what you've experienced, whether it's in
how you were raised.
Yeah. Like so many, everything you've done to the past is kind of, that's who you are today. And you have the potential to change your future going forward. But like, for me, it was like divorce is the boundary line. And I didn't really have any intermediate boundaries before that, other than the context of how I was raised, how, relationships that I've seen growing up to this point, like, to me, it was like, I have one boundary marker, that's no divorce. And I think what Jackie is saying is we've now had to go back and add additional boundaries before the divorce mark, so that it's not like it's just a free-for-all until we get to this place, because more than likely, if you cross too many boundaries before here, like what Jackie's saying is true, like, what's going to stop you from getting to that point?
Or it's easy to just have divorce as a non-negotiable. That's easy. Mm-hmm. We can do whatever we want as long as we don't sign that paper, and you might as well get divorced, So it's like, exactly. There's got to be stuff before that, if you really want a healthy, thriving marriage, not just a marriage. Anyone can have a marriage. Mm-hmm. Anyone. You can have you can be married to someone and live in another state for years and years and years and never see each other. The divorce part isn't the issue. That's just the end game, and that it's truly simple, and a lot of people do it, unfortunately. A lot of couples just stay married because they don't want to get a divorce, but their marriage is awful. And so I think that's kind of what we mean.
Yeah, it's like if I say I'm never going to be obese, but I don't put any diet restrictions in place. Mm-hmm. I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want. Like, as much as you don't want to become obese, if you don't have self-control or guidelines, like, that is the way that you will be trending regardless of what you want.
Yeah, like, you're not going to be fit, you're not going to be healthy, but it's like, as long as I'm not obese, like, I could be 1 pound under obesity rate, and it's like, you might as well be. Yeah. So that's, it is. It is.
No, that's a great point.
That's what I mean. But anyway, what's yours?
Good job. I'm impressed. 2 for 2.
Thanks.
My second one is ensure humility.
I need elaboration there.
Ensure humility. And so what I mean by that is it's up to you to stay humble. And in a relationship, when you're arguing, it's up to you to be the one to go seek forgiveness. It's up to you to be the one to reconcile. And I could kind of speak to men in relationships, because I feel like that really is our responsibility. At the end of the day, it falls on our shoulders to reconcile, to lead. But regardless of, like, that role, I feel like we both in the relationship should have that mentality of kind of like, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. Like, if this is going to work out, I have to own my part. And even if I feel like I'm 100% right, there is still something that I could have done better. There is something that I could do more of. And I have to take ownership of that. And even saying that reminds me of a book called Extreme Ownership. I think it was by Jocko. I forget what his last name is. One of the Navy SEALs. That was a great book. But, like, any result that happens, you can take ownership of that, even if it was so far removed from you. Like, could you have done something that could have affected the outcome of something else? And I think the answer is always yes. Mm-hmm. And so, especially in a relationship, so kind of having that mentality that if this is going to work out, I have to ensure humility by making sure I'm always coming to my spouse, I'm always coming to Jackie to ask for forgiveness, to apologize for something that I've done, even if I feel like it wasn't my fault. There's something I could have done. And so taking that mindset and responsibility to, just to stay humble and to always, like, to come from a place of humility, knowing that we're not perfect, knowing that I could be just as much the reason that you want to leave as I want to leave. Like, so that's what I mean by that.
That's good. That's really good. Okay, my last one is, and this, I don't know, it's hard, because I know this can be toxic for some people. I don't know. Let me just say it. Okay. scheduling sex / a date night. And here's what I mean by this, because I think I used to like preach scheduling sex like it's law, whether you feel like it or not. You'll never regret it. Like once you do it, it's kind of like working out, whatever. And I feel like over time, I've even educated myself a little bit on, and I feel like I have a little bit more grace for women, I would say. Actually, Jackie Hill Perry was someone that I listened to something about that, and it was actually very helpful and freeing. And I've spoken with one of my sisters on how, it's just different. Everyone is different. Everyone is wired differently. So for some people, scheduling sex is like, I feel like, I'm being used or something, and it's like, that's not how I feel. But I would never want that to come across as somebody as like, you just do it anyway, whether you feel like it or not. Just ignore your emotions, ignore your feelings, ignore where your relationship is at, and just do it. Like, that is so not what I mean. And so I feel like I'm trying to tread a little bit more lightly in talking about that, although I do think it's very important. But I feel like that's just what comes to mind when I think about intimacy, like touch points. So for Seth and I feel like those recharge us in a way that not much else can. I don't know if anything else can. I think it's crazy because we can tell when we're like nearing a time where it's like, we can tell this has been too long. We can tell we didn't, prioritize our date night, or it was like not super intentional or whatever. Like it really is so noticeable for us. And so I feel like
it's like a power up.
Yeah. And it's like once we have sex and once we like connect intimately in that way, we're so much closer in that moment. And afterwards, it's like we're sweeter. And there's obviously like literally hormones and chemicals and endorphins in our body that are like making this happen when you have sex, which is a beautiful thing. But I think emotionally, like stress wise, attitude wise, like we both can be sassy. But I feel like when we do that, it's just like we're more tender, we're more sensitive towards each other, we're more patient and understanding, we're more joyful. Like those are real benefits of being intimate with your spouse. Sometimes it takes a minute to get there because it takes work. That takes work in a marriage sometimes. And again, seasons. Right now, we're in a season where for me personally, it takes a little bit more work to get there emotionally and physically, because I just had a baby, because I'm exclusively breastfeeding, because I'm stressed, because whatever. There are very real reasons why it's not as like, oh, I'm so in the mood. But in other seasons, it's been a lot easier for me to get there and more difficult for Seth to get there. When I lived in California, I had no job and I lived by the beach and we were in a blue zone, and it was just like, I was living easy. I had 3 hours to make dinner every day. I had no kids. Like, I was not, I don't know. I was more in the mood literally every day. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but I do feel like putting in the work and effort and being intentional about that, especially like a date night, putting down your phones and talking to each other and making it a priority. There are times where that date night sneaks up and we're like, what? Okay, we're not prepared. We're not in the mood. I don't really want to go anywhere. I just want to sit and I want to watch Modern Family or Parenthood. But it makes the world of a difference. And that is like the intentional time set apart from your life to reconnect with this person that you married is so important. And I feel like it's crucial to do. and really makes a big difference in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, that's good. All right, my last point here, and then we'll wrap this up, is embracing the sacrifice of serving, even if there ain't no cookie. And what I mean by that is
cookie.
Relationships, marriage, even dating, there has to be an element of I am always going to be serving this person. And I feel like when you lose sight of that, that's when you become selfish-minded, or I'm not being served as much as I think I should. So maintaining a mindset of I am always looking for ways to serve my spouse, my significant other. And even if there's no reward to that, I know that that's what I'm signing up for. And to have that mindset in a relationship, in a marriage, I really think that is key to avoiding divorce, because she might never show signs that she really appreciates me doing the laundry or putting the dishes away or whatever it is. But that's something that has to get done. And even if she never steps in to help, even if she never says thank you for it, it's just like that mentality of this is what I have to do anyways, and I'm going to do it with a great attitude. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to do it because I love my wife and because I'm choosing to serve her, even if there's no reward. And so I really think that is a powerful mindset shift to have. Mm-hmm. And I would pray that there is a reward. And I think that you kind of get into some of the love languages there. So like whether it's acts of service, whether it's affirming her, whether it's saying that you love her or that she's beautiful, like those things I believe they won't go in vain because they're good mm-hmm. things. But even if they did, are you committed enough to your relationship to serving her in that way for the rest of your life? And having that mindset, I really feel like you are then doing all that you can do to avoid divorce by putting your best effort into the relationship to make it work and mm-hmm. to serve her, to actively love her, mm-hmm. and not just say that I love her, but like actively loving her, actively showing her that you appreciate her and you love and respect her.
And that's not to say that you can't communicate either. Like, hey, I do feel a little unappreciated. I do feel like I'm
absolutely
doing these things, but I also with that, it's like doing those things and not necessarily expecting anything in return mm-hmm. is a good way to keep a good attitude, to continue to love your spouse well. And you're not doing them just for that, just for the thank you or the reward. Like you're doing them because you genuinely want to and because you're trying to serve, but that doesn't mean it's not nice. It's like at work. When you're at work and you're doing your job that you're supposed to do, that you're getting paid to do, mm-hmm. of course you're going to do it anyway. It's like I'm doing these things and I don't need a thank you from my boss, and I don't have to have that in order to do my job. However, there's a massive difference, literally statistically, they've done studies on this, in the quality of the work and the attitude of the employee when the boss is thankful and appreciative and goes out of their way. So it's okay for, the employee to say like, you know what, boss, like I will do this regardless. However, it really makes a difference in me and my work and my servitude when I feel appreciated. And so if Seth, if both of us definitely do that and communicate with each other, like, this kind of hurt my feelings and I feel like I'm doing, and you kind of burn out a little bit, but I do think that's a great point. That's
you want to
6.
Summarize?
Oh, sure.
What were your 3? Just to read them off real quick.
All right. My 3 were seek counsel / accountability, reevaluate non-negotiables, and schedule sex / date night. I'm a big fan of slashes because I have a lot to say. What are your 3?
Mine were pray together, ensure humility, meaning it's up to you, and embrace the sacrifice of serving, even if there ain't no cookie.
Okay.
So
love it.
We should start doing this. We're kind of looking for, I think in this season, bigger purpose, ways that we can like pray for other people or just like help other people. And I think we should really start praying for like the listeners on our podcast. That would be
Absolutely.
a good thing. So we will
do that.
If you are in a season of struggle with your relationship, we will be praying for you. That's something we'll add to our prayer list.
Is it weird to pray right now? Or what do you mean? It's weird?
No, I wouldn't say it's weird if you want to. I'm just saying like in our time alone together, just praying for our listeners, because I know relationships are something that we're really passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And not that we just talk about relationships here, but we're adamant about it. We know that relationships are hard, that they require a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And divorce is a very real thing, and it's scary. And so our hope, though, is that, you can take something from this and apply it to your marriage. And our prayer is that your marriage would just turn around and that you guys would have a wonderful marriage. That, you guys would be best friends and happy. And actually, there was a priest that I knew from Wheaton when I went there. Not that Wheaton is not Catholic, but he would always ask me. It was like his litmus test question was like, "Are you happy?" Like every time I would see him or talk to him, at some point in the conversation, he'd be like, "Are you happy?" And I asked him, I was like, "Why do you ask me this all the time?" He's like, it gives me like a glimpse of where you're at in your own heart, in your own life. Of like, if you can truly say I'm happy and tell me why, that's fantastic. If you can't, it's like, it's his way of like reading, okay, like what's going on, and so it would kind of like direct the conversation. So we pray that you're actually happy, and if not,
well, yeah, if it's okay, and if you don't want, you can turn this off at this point. But I feel like this is a heavy topic, and I feel like there's a lot of people who might be going through some heavy stuff. So if I would like to say a quick prayer, if you're listening, if, that would, I don't know, like we're with you, and we definitely understand, and, we're praying for our marriage over here. So I'll say a quick prayer for everybody's marriage. Okay. Lord, thank you so much just for every single person listening to this podcast right now. I thank you that we can come to you whenever, that we have the freedom to talk to you, and that you are a friend, that you're for us, and that you are available to us at all times, 24/7, in the middle of the day, in the middle of the night, in the middle of a podcast. Lord, I ask that for anyone who is listening who might be incredibly discouraged or down in their marriage, in their relationship, if they feel lost, if they feel hopeless, if they feel like they can't do this anymore, if they have no one to talk to, Lord, I ask that you would just remind them that you are there. I ask that you would just put your healing hand on their marriage, that there would be a renewal, that they would remember how powerful you are, and that you can do all things, that you can transform their marriage, that you're the only one who can. I ask that you would give them the tools and the encouragement and the strength to put the work in, whether they feel like there'll be a reward or not, whether they feel appreciated or not, Lord. I ask that you would just heal their hearts and be with them and allow them to feel your presence, and that you would just give them that extra bit of strength and drive to really see a vision for their marriage and what they want it to look like for the rest of their years to come, for their kids, all of that. Lord, we thank you for who you are. We thank you that you can do miracles, that you can turn things around that we can't do on our own. We love you, and it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
thank you guys for listening so much. We appreciate you guys and we care about you. And yeah.
Yep. Everyone have a great week. Again, I'm Seth.
And I'm Jackie.
This is Never TMI, and we're signing off.
Peace out.